was. The boys were playing down here in Kitt's Corner in Federal Way at the water here when they got swept under into a tube. When we talk about the power of water and all of this rain and flooding that we're expecting, it is important to think about water. We know it's a foot that can push a car, but I did a little research and they say it only takes about 6 inches to sweep a person off their feet if the current is strong enough. Friends and family members of the Cortez family, they have been posting these flyers around Tulalip Bay, around Jetty Island, hoping that people can look for any evidence of their son, including pieces of his uniform. They are checking every once in a while to make sure cars can move up and down it. And then, of course, if you're on skis like this individual right here, you can just cruise right down. How was it? Was it good? Yeah. Awesome. We thought the package was a goner. That's until this week. On Tuesday, it showed up looking like this. What would you say to someone who receives a package on their doorstep that's like this? Defacing a lawfully placed political sign, that is considered a misdemeanor crime. Mata has gone as far as to call for a federal investigation. Right here in this parking lot, this is where that security camera video was taken that you're about to see in just a moment. The owner of La Familia here said he was here. He was working to get people off the property after a fight broke out. He went back inside, and then it was several minutes later that he heard gunshots. It can get up to 20 degrees hotter than what is forecasted, and it's because of places like this, these asphalt parking lots and a lack of trees. One thing about tonight, if Sarah Perry pulls through with a win in this race, this is going to be a big change for the east side, as Lambert has held this spot for 2 decades. So the bridge here, there's still some people walking on it, but it is closed to cars in both directions. They have those signups. They also have Mount Vernon police here, and it is because the bridge goes over the Skagit River here, which is just roaring right now. It's really creating some incredible flooding. As we mentioned, there are those recommended evacuations for West Mount Vernon. So I do want to point out that there is a shelter set up at the Bethany Covenant Church. That's on South 18th Street if it is needed, as the city really just continues to prepare for rising floodwaters. As the Skagit River rises, a rush to stop the swollen water from pouring into downtown Mount Vernon.
So I really would like to know how much higher it's going to get tonight.
It's a sight many locals have never seen, as this flood wall, completed in 2017, is getting its first test. The mayor of Mount Vernon declared a civil emergency Monday, deploying the flood walls downtown.
Oh my gosh, look how high that water is coming out right now over there.
Rhonda Weissmuir and Cynthia Brashears have a front row seat of the water rushing by.
Look at the big tree coming down.
Where?
Oh, right behind you.
They're just a few blocks away from the Division Street Bridge. The city says it's closing the bridge as floodwaters reach 35 feet. With the risk of severe flooding, the city's recommended those in West Mount Vernon evacuate.
It's devastating, really.
For the people who evacuated, they can stay close to home. The Red Cross set up a shelter at Bethany Covenant Church in Mount Vernon.
But it should be a place of sanctuary and rest for people.
A safe place to ride out the rest of this storm.
When it's cold and when it's wet and your home is not safe, any dry place where you can keep your family safe does feel like home.
And one thing that we've reported on is that the Seattle Police Department has acknowledged that they are looking to hire. More than 200 officers have left the force, but that lack of officers, the impacts of that is what grocery stores say they are feeling right now. They want to see those staffing levels boost back up to meet what they're calling a basic level of public safety. At the corner of First and Wall in Seattle, Taekwon manages Seattle's Belltown Market.
6 days a week.
As the store's only employee, he stocks, helps customers, and is finding himself increasingly responsible for security.
I just try to, just to do my best for the protecting the store, protecting myself. Do you need a bag for this one?
He says theft and assault are 2 things he deals with daily.
Just to run away.
Most he catches on camera.
Grab a stuff like that and just walked out. So I go there and then, hey, and they try to punch me like that. But I'm 53 years old. But I got fight more than when I was in high school, man. Just it's crazy. Try to broke my window.
Ty says he's made hundreds of calls to the Seattle Police Department, but they either don't show up or respond too late.
Somebody broke a window, they don't react. They don't react for the shoplifter.
He feels his job isn't safe. And that's a reality echoed by the Washington Food Industry Association, which today put out a call for Seattle police to hire more officers, saying, quote, simply put, we need the city council to work with the Seattle Police Department to bring staffing levels up in a way that meets basic levels of public safety. Our members are scared for their employees and scared for shoppers.
Every time when I go home, I couldn't sleep. There's too much stress.
Ty, who's used to being helpful for his customers, feels Seattle police need to help him protect his business.
And then we gotta do something, actually do something, not just talking.
Ivory trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry around the world. Now, this piece of ivory here at the University of Washington is a first of its kind, as a way to recover DNA from ivory and therefore create a way to track this illegal industry.
These photos from Homeland Security show roughly $3.5 million worth of ivory, rhino horn, and pangolin scales. All items precious on the black market and deadly to the animal. The items were seized in the Democratic Republic of Congo after a several months long investigation that took place in Washington. In order to conceal pieces of tusk sent to Seattle, here you can see they're painted black. Last week, 2 suspects were arrested in Edmonds, thinking they were there to negotiate a deal.
This one was done right.
A key player in this bust, Professor Sam Wasser, who runs the UW Center for Environmental Forensic Science.
Since 2005, our lab has been really the only one in the world analyzing large ivory seizures.
It was a case Wasser was studying in Southwest Africa that helped lead to this arrest in Edmonds.
These are all seizures that we've analyzed.
Wasser's research recovers DNA from items like ivory to create a network that tracks where animals are being poached
And we learned there's DNA throughout the tusk.
and where their husks are trafficked. They're viewed as more valuable as the animal's population shrinks.
These big buyers are buying large quantities of ivory, hoping that the elephants are eventually going to go extinct and that it will be legal to sell their ivory, and then it will be like gold.
The 2 arrested in Edmonds, if convicted, could face 25 years in prison. Wasser sees an opportunity here to further investigate this illegal market.
It's about time people started taking this seriously. These are bad guys. They are not only moving ivory, they're moving narcotics, they're moving pangolins, they're moving timber. It's way more serious than people appreciate and way worse than simply killing a wonderful animal.
Kalie Greenberg, King 5 News.
Ooh, this one's mushy. Really mushy.
Right now, 6-year-old Kate
We're gonna go trunk or treating.
has a lot to be excited about.
It's very fun, but I'm not going.
Her 11-year-old sister Emma isn't going trunk-or-treating, but says today brought its own treat.
Oh, that was good. That was good. Abundance of pride and, hope for the future that we can get back to normal sometime in the next year.
That's how she feels knowing she and her sister
She doesn't really like shots that much, but she also really wanted to do it.
they looked past their nerves and said they wanted to be part of a Pfizer vaccine trial for kids 5 to 11. The family learned today that vaccine is now one step closer to full approval.
My husband and I look at each other, we're like, oh my gosh, we're a part of this. It just didn't even hit us again until today.
Emma and Kate's mom, Nina, said the girls participated in the trial at Seattle Children's this past spring.
That first visit during the trial, it was a lengthy visit because there were so many things to understand, and we were given an opportunity to ask questions. Whoa, aggressive.
They don't know whether they received a vaccine or the placebo, but they do know they made a difference.
Felt really privileged to be able to be part of something this big. I'm gonna get it from you.
For Emma, it's a chance to get back to just being a kid.
And all I want is to be with my friends and to go in person and go back to my normal activities. And this vaccine was one of the only ways to actually be able to do that.
The Pfizer vaccine could be available to kids as soon as next week, making it one treat worth sharing.
This vaccine is a chance for us to become responsible and step up and actually get the vaccine.
Kalie Greenberg, King 5 News.
We applied back in May and we haven't heard anything from them. So we're just kind of sitting and waiting almost. It's tough.
It's stories like these from renters that's prompted this letter headed to King County Executive Dow Constantine. It's signed by the King County Housing Justice Project and the Washington Multifamily Housing Association, and it demands King County make immediate changes to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. They say the program is overburdened by excessive and unnecessary requirements, which create barriers, delays, and decrease participation in the program. Data from the Washington State Department of Commerce shows King County administered $0 in May and June, while almost every other county in Washington distributed some amount of money. The county says about $23 million of the $340 million allocated have been distributed, about 6.6%.
We don't have a money problem, right? It's obviously an organizational problem.
King County Council member Reagan Dunn is putting legislative pressure on the executive. He's proposed a measure to the council to expedite financial aid.
My argument is that we need to spend a little money to get a lot more money out the door. We need to hire some additional employees, some additional staff. One of the things I'm seeing, it's not just renters who are struggling right now, it's landlords. I have landlords in my district that are going to food banks because they're on the hook for everyone else's mortgage.
In June, the governor announced an eviction moratorium bridge, which gave counties additional time to pay landlords. That bridge is set to expire on September 30th.
Can the county meet that deadline?
It's not looking very good. I don't think without Herculean efforts right now, we're going to get there.
Councilmember Dunn hopes to see a vote on his legislation as soon as next week. It includes a request for a report into why the county is seeing these delays. As for those two housing groups that sent this letter, they say if the county doesn't make those changes, they will proceed with efforts to judicially require them. Joyce? Many dream of one day owning a home with a view like this.
We've got our chicken coop and then some apple trees.
But a water-filled yard took Sherry's Kevin by surprise.
Plenty of ducks and geese are enjoying the backyard at the moment.
The water along the creek in East Mount Vernon rose quickly Monday, a day that was supposed to be a celebration.
We actually got the email from our mortgage broker in the middle of the day that our house closed. And so, yeah, it's lots of ups and downs, and it was really 3 in the morning this morning that I made the call that we needed to get out of here.
So the water came up to about right up to the siding here. And
Sheris and her husband left their 3-acre property behind, a place family helped rent and renovate into their dream home.
The heartbreak in this is that the only reason we were able to afford buying a house, because this is our first home, was because we lost my father-in-law a year ago. And he left us inheritance that allowed us to do this.
The next morning, their house was okay. Their garage was flooded and the rest of the property underwater.
Ooh, it's cold.
Leaving a backyard to survey.
Oh my gosh, there's a salmon.
From historic flooding that had Sherris' husband, Tony, relieved flood insurance was required to purchase their home next to the wetlands.
Assuming that flood insurance is going to do what it's supposed to do, I think we're going to be really grateful that we have it.
With the water on its way out, they wait to see the full extent of the damage, saying right now emotions come in waves.
This kind of took the wind out of our sails a bit, but again, the house is intact. We're safe. What more can you really do? You can't really do much when it's Mother Nature.
The Kevins tell me that they are anxious to see how their flood insurance policy is going to help them repair the damage on their property. The insurance commissioner's website does have some tips on flood cleanup. A big one being take photos, videos, make a list of all the damage on your property, as well as make sure to talk to your insurer before permanently removing or making any repairs to things that have been damaged. In Mount Vernon, Kalie Greenberg, King 5 News.